Good evening, everyone. My name is Peter Sipkins. I'm the chair of Measure J. I welcome you to the meeting. It's a nice crowd this evening. Thank you. We have a lot to cover. So let me begin by calling the meeting to order. The first item is roll call. Melissa, can you take a roll call? Commissioners, please.
Commissioner Cavaleros,
Present.
Commissioner Fedor, Commissioner Isaac,
Present.
Commissioner Schoen,
Present.
Commissioner Thigpen,
Present.
Commissioner Wolford,
Present.
Commissioner Hopkins, Commissioner Kravitz,
Here.
Commissioner Newby,
Here.
Vice Chair Davis,
Present.
Chairperson Sipkins.
Present. Thank you. The next item is the Pledge of Allegiance. Let's all please stand and say the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next item is the acceptance of the agenda. Do any of the commissioners have any additions, corrections, or other comments concerning tonight's agenda? If not, I will deem that the agenda is approved as submitted. Next item is approval of minutes of the special meeting of November 2024. You may recall we had to slide that meeting, I think, by one day. We made it one day earlier, perhaps, than it was supposed to be, because of some conflicts, and as a result, it was deemed a special meeting. Does anybody have any comments or corrections concerning the minutes of that meeting? If not, I would deem that those minutes are accepted. The next item is public comment. And tonight, we are blessed with a number of public speakers. I want to thank you all for coming, first of all. It's great to see you all. But I do want to stress that we have a large number of you tonight. We have some limited time. Both staff members who serve this committee so ably have to leave a little bit earlier than usual. And so I want to remind you all that you are very welcome to make comments, but you are strictly limited to 3 minutes. And Melissa rules with an iron fist, and if you go over the 3 minutes, you're going to get cut off. So with that, Melissa, do you want to start inviting people up to the microphone?
Our first speaker of the night is Leonard Lane.
The 3 minutes start again.
No.
You tell me when.
Now.
Now?
Yep.
Okay. My name is Leonard Lane, and I'm here this evening to talk about G-Force. I'm involved in many, many aspects of this community, from AA to St. Paul's Church to working in a hospice. But I have to say that G-Force is sort of the piece of my life that keeps things together. It's not just an exercise class. What it is, it really helps people in this community gather together, not only to work on our bodies doing boot camp, but it's more than boot camp. What it is, it's body, mind, and spirit. We come together as a group, and we bring who it is that we are, and we learn through the things that happen to us physically what relates to us emotionally and spiritually. So all 3 things are connected. It's not just like I said, an exercise class. I look forward to it every day. In fact, I walk from where I live to the park. It's an hour. It takes me half an hour each way. But the most important thing is the camaraderie and the feeling of spirituality that we all have together. Spirituality is anything that you want to make it. It's a connection that we have in being with each other together, not only working one aspect of who we are, but also bringing forth the special spiritual energy that's here in Palm Springs, which a lot of us experience coming from the indigenous people in the area. The most important, one thing I might add too, is that the group was started by Ted Geese, and Ted is, and Michael has taken over in the last year and a half. And when we mean boot camp, we mean boot camp. I mean, it works. I've lost 20 pounds I've lost 20 pounds in the last year that I've been working with him. So if you want to lose weight, it's a good place to go. And the most important thing that I want to stress is that it's an example of this community, the connection that I feel in this community and others feel, being able to, in a world that outside of Palm Springs is very fearful, politically, economically, socially. And I don't feel that here in Palm Springs. And what I feel is what I feel in the city and what it is that we have in G-Force. It's connection, it's spirit. And I really want to thank this group for not only having Proposition J, but also the fact that something like this boot camp can exist here within in the city. And that it's a wonderful place for people to go. We have strangers come by and they join just because of our energy. Well, that was great. I should have didn't shut up.
No.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much for your comments. Next speaker, Melissa.
Ned Parker.
Thank you. I've got a video and I guess it can't be on the big screen, so this is the biggest screen I own. I hope you can see it okay. Can I do that right there?
Yep.
Again,
And then while you're starting, you're here on the Risto Park application.
I'm here, Beersville Park improvements, yes.
Your turn.
Thank you. Is that timer? I'm Ned Barker. I'm board chair of the Bristow Neighborhood Organization. And the video you're watching is highlights from the Bristow National Night Out. It's an event that we held on Sunday, November 10th. And it may be the first event of its kind ever held in Bristow Park. It was a lot of fun. We've asked for a lot of money to help improve Bristow Park. And the reason for showing the video is to share with you our joy that comes with the use of our neighborhood park. Next year, we're trying to sponsor 3 neighborhood-wide events, including a repeat of the National Night Out in October. We feel that it's part of the city's job to ensure that the park is usable, and that's addressed in our application. But we especially feel that it's part of our job as a neighborhood organization to promote the park's use, and that's what we'll continue to do. extra seconds on my next time.
Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Ned. Melissa, next
Michael
speaker.
Coe.
Okay, good evening, Chair Sipkins, commissioners, city officials and staff and members of the public. My name is Michael Koth. I'm the instructor for the G-Force workout class in Ruth Hardy Park. I, along with the attendees of the group, want to thank you again for considering our G-Force workout health and wellness permanent space request. Prior to submitting the proposal to the Measure J Commission, we participated in the city's Parks and Rec revisioning meetings and attended the Parks and Rec Commission meeting presenting our proposal for their review. The G-Force workout proposal ranked second in their funding recommendation rankings based on the benefit that would be delivered to the community. During the preparation of our application, our team reached out to the city council members, project managers and staff, as well as Parks and Recreation employees, to make sure that we did our due diligence in order to ensure all aspects of the application were addressed. We met with city recommended vendors, one who just completed the shade structure at Victoria Park and is doing Duluth. We asked for and submitted several vendor quotes with our application to ensure that we included the city's vision for this project. In fact, we supplemented our proposal with suggestions to add exercise equipment similar to what is currently in Ruth Hardy Wellness Park, based on a suggestion from the city. Our application provides the requested cost estimates and project timelines, as well as the information requested on the application form. In addition, the vendor is ready to mobilize quickly should our proposal be awarded Measure J funds. It is our understanding that a project has been approved to upgrade the playground, including the installation of a shade structure at Ruth Hardy Park. Our project would be a complementary addition to the planned playground renovation and is in line with the Measure J funding priorities and goals in the City of Palm Springs strategic plan. What the application cannot show you is the impact our group has on the community. Our class is free and open to anyone and everyone that would like to attend. Participants vary in age, abilities, and have various health issues, mobility concerns, and fitness goals. But per student request, we started live streaming the class via social media sites to allow year-round participation. Our daily attendance in class is between 40 to 80 people a day, and our live stream audience consistently is joined by between 1,000 to 2,000 people per day from all over the United States, Canada, and a couple of other countries in Europe. G-Force participates in community collaboration and sponsored events such as the Equity Walk and the Health Fair, assisting these organizations with warm-ups, movement, health and wellness advisory capabilities. And also, we've just recently reached out to Jeff Coors and the Blue Zone Initiative, since it has become a permanent structure with the City of Palm Springs. As mentioned in our December 13th email can I finish the sentence? Or do I have to stop?
Yeah, this.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you very much for coming.
Susan Halson.
Hi, my name is Susan Halson. I live here in Palm Springs now, but I'm a new resident just as of last month, November.
Can you please move the microphone a little bit closer? Thank you.
Yes, is that better?
Better.
Okay, thank you. Well, when I came here, it's going to be our permanent home now, after having lived many places. And one day, in November, I was walking past the party park and I saw this large group of people working out to lively music, working hard. And then I went walking for another 30 minutes, came back, and they were still going strong. And I couldn't let it go because it just withdrew me. It was infectious. So I found out that it's free, that everybody's welcome. I've never felt such a quick sense of community when coming to a city. And I'm so grateful that it's here. It's the thing I've bragged about to everybody from my old home that asks how we're doing. It's the first thing I tell them about. So I can't tell you how much I value all the things that the first speaker spoke about. But what I like to speak about is safety. I go at least 3 times a week. And the terrain that we're working on is not really terribly safe. It's wet grass with divots. When you look at my demographic, 1 in 4 people, according to the CDC, is at risk of fall in the next year. And I'm looking at these people that are getting so much out of this workout, and the risk of one of us falling and having a serious injury is significant. The actual class includes balance and core training that to me benefits me, and I think it's worth the risk. But to be able to have a space that was safe too would just make it perfect. I envision a space that would include many other groups. I think about the Great Lawn at Sunnylands, and you see people doing Tai Chi and yoga and all kinds of things that this community offers. And the other thing I wanted to say is that Michael streaming this class is like the best Chamber of Commerce promotion for the city of Palm Springs that you're getting for free. I'm so supportive of this, and I want you to think about the safety of all the citizens. I wouldn't want children in a playground that didn't have a safe structure working. And I feel the same way about everybody, the whole community. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Brian Grass.
Hi, David Underhill, you want to join me? Does anybody not have one of these in front of them? I have plenty here.
I'll take them and then I'll.
Thank you so much. Good evening, everybody. Thank you for your time. My name is Brian Grass, and I'm here to represent Sunny Dunes Clubhouse, which is the LGBTQ plus recovery oasis in the desert. A little bit about us. Sunny Dunes Clubhouse started with about 20 members, meeting in the summer of 1992. Since then, we've grown to more than 180 supporting members, enabling more than 115,000 meeting attendees per year. And this is 12-step recovery meetings, and we've created a safe space for LGBTQ plus youth and members and allies to meet and have 12-step recovery. As you know, the LGBTQ plus community faces unique challenges and barriers when it comes to recovery. They have discrimination, stigma, social isolation, and internalized shame that can all contribute to substance abuse, making seeking help more difficult. But at Sunny Dunes, we believe a supportive and affirming community is crucial. The safe space for our clubhouse offers allows individuals to connect with others. We have similar experiences and difficulties creating community. That's why we've created this clubhouse. We believe a supportive and affirming community is crucial for these individuals. These support groups and recovery programs provide a place for individuals to share their experiences, receive support from peers who understand their unique challenges, and access resources tailored to their needs. Our mission is to provide and maintain a safe environment to hold 12-step and other recovery group meetings and related events for the LGBTQ plus recovery community and their allies in Palm Springs and the greater Coachella Valley. The reason I'm here is we have a proposal in front of you, and after some review, it may or may not meet the Measure J standards. However, if given the opportunity, we'd like to revise that proposal. What we offer every year as a tradition is a Thanksgiving and a Christmas potluck event where we bring in about 200 to 300 members of the community to come for a safe place to eat, meet, and greet. And as you know, these times can be very challenging for people who are working under a 12-step recovery program. And we give them an opportunity to come together in a safe place and have that family feeling without the stresses and the pressures of the holiday. We spend about $1,500 to $2,000 on each event. We feed about 200 to 300 people. It takes a few hours and it's a great deal of fun. Our members very much look forward to these two events to kind of get through the holiday season. What we'd eventually like to propose to Measure J is to keep this event going. No matter where Sunny Dunes is in Palm Springs, we plan to continue to offer our Thanksgiving and our Christmas holiday events, which is free for anybody who comes. We have so much food, we have music, we have goodies. It's really, really nice. And everybody enjoys their space. We never turn anyone away. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Linda.
Yes. Go, Linda. Thanks.
Hello, my name is Linda Struhar, and I am the Vice President and Program Chair for the Palm Springs Women's Club. I'm here today to speak about our solar application for the Palm Springs Women's Club. I would like to begin with some history about our club. One of our 65 charter members was Pearl McManus, daughter of early pioneer J.G. McCallum. One of Pearl McManus's generous gifts was her donation of the land for our building. Our building was built in 1938, and the building itself is historically significant, located in the downtown tennis club district. The opening of each club season is designated as the Pearl McManus Day, and our members pay tribute to her for her contributions not only to our club, but also the community. Pearl helped the Palm Springs Women's Club set up a scholarship program, telling our then president, all right, you select one boy and send him to college through the club, and I'll take another one and send him to college myself. 86 years later, the Palm Springs Women's Club is still giving scholarships to Palm Springs High School seniors. Currently, we have 17 students receiving scholarships from our club. Our scholars are our main focus. Their success is our goal and mission. We encourage our students to new challenges and adventures, following them their entire 4 years of college to ensure their success into their chosen field of study. Since 2009, we have provided roughly $350,000 in college scholarships to Palm Springs High School students. Pearl is remembered as a role model for responsibility, integrity, generosity, thrift, and a passion for fulfilling one's life purpose. These characteristics are found in our members today and in our mission statement of intellectual improvement, social enjoyment, and helpfulness in the community. By granting our application for solar, we will reduce our environmental footprint, and it will help to keep our electricity costs down so that we can continue our mission. Thank you.
All right, thank you for coming.
Jane Doe, Dr. Dodd. It's a common thing. My name's Jane Dodd. I'm also from the Palm Springs Women's Club. I am the communications chair. And I just kind of adding to what she had said, a lot of people don't really know what the Palm Springs Women's Club is, like we're some kind of secret old lady society. But we do have lovely lunches and teas. But our main goal is our scholarship program, and we have a huge fundraiser each year, and that's what we've been doing for 80+ years. And just wanted to update you on some other things we do as well. Just in December, we did a toy drive for Well in the Desert. And we collected toys also during the Walk of the Ends, where we have a very lovely bake sale every year. I actually had personally bagged the stuff up for pickup, and we had 8 giant trash bags full of toys. We also recently have started doing a board game drive for our local elementary school, where every student at that school receives a board game as they go into their winter break. It's not in Palm Springs, it's Cathedral City. We just finished doing an art contest related to our scholarship event. It was open to all students ages transition from TK transitional kindergarten to 12th grade. We handed out over $670 in prizes. And coming up, we're going to be doing a soft drive for Well in the Desert. So anything we can participate in and help out with, we get our members on board, and everybody's very community minded. It's a historically significant building. And I just wanted to talk about the architect and a little history on the building. The clubhouse, designed by John Porter Clark, was formally dedicated January 29, 1940. He volunteered his services as his wife was a member of the club. It is an example of the California modern style and the forerunner to acclaimed Palm Springs mid-century architecture of John Porter Clark, Albert Frey, Richard Neutra, William Cody, Craig Elwood, Don Wexler, and many others. The modern style attracts visitors and students of architecture from around the world. Palm Springs Women's Club is ideally situated in the center of the earliest historic neighborhood, the tennis club, which was also created by Pearl McManus. We're not wanting to be registered as a historically
on the registry. But we have kept it, we have an argument every year over some original lighting that's not adequate enough. It's not a very attractive light, but we refuse to take it down, so we just added some LEDs around it. So really not much has changed with the building in the 85 plus years it's been in its existence. So we just want to keep it viable and it's highly maintained, but there's a lot of expense and our electricity bill goes up and we do have.
Thank you for coming tonight. Next speaker, Melissa.
Jack Garvey.
Yes, I'd like to speak in support of G-Force and its program and offer a few observations as a participant. I myself was very reluctant to get involved. My wife became totally dedicated and dragged me along, and now I'm a huge supporter for good reason. And it's the same reason that has attracted 50 people every morning, 7:15. That was a hard one for me. And then all the people who have joined in streaming, many of whom have participated and then go elsewhere and want to keep it as an important part of their life.
Can you pull the microphone again closer to you? So
I'm sorry.
Can you pull the microphone
go.
closer so it's recorded? Thank you.
Okay. Yeah, and okay, it's already been said how the program welcomes everyone. There's no charge. People walk by and end up joining in the program. There's no age limit, no restrictions whatsoever. But I did want to, I in particular wanted to point out a special aspect of the community that's been created. Many of us, a substantial number, as if you're here tonight, have had cancer diagnoses and are either in remission or dealing with it as a present reality. And I think it's fair to say that the consensus of our doctors is that the best thing we can do for ourselves is to engage in community and to exercise. And G-Force is a perfect match for that need. So I wanted to bring that to light. It's probably something that hasn't, well, I haven't heard it mentioned, but for those of us who have been in that position, it's been a godsend, really. And I go every day now, along with my wife, and I join together with people who are dealing with the same need and difficulty. So it's a gem. G-Force really deserves your official endorsement and support. And it's truly exceptional in demonstrating Palm Springs as a healthy community, as a community that really cares about the health of its members. So that's it. That's all I have to say.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Melissa, how many more speakers do we have on the phone?
3 more.
3 more? Mayor Bernstein, can you wait about 9 minutes? Okay, thank you.
Katie Barrows.
Good evening, members of the commission. My name is Katie Barrows. I'm a board member with the Oversight Land Trust, and I want to appreciate all the time and effort that I know you are all going through this process. I'm sure it takes a lot of time. I just want to highlight a couple of aspects of the proposal that Oversight Land Trust has submitted. Nature in our backyard, creating an urban forest. The Oversight Land Trust, as you may know, acquired the property that is now known as Prescott Preserve in the summer of 2022. And in a very short time, it's become a tremendous community resource. It's a very popular place for walking. There's areas where folks can take their dogs. I was there on Sunday morning and there's people using it extensively as a place to get outdoors. This is really, the real focus of our proposal is to enhance the Prescott Preserve as a community resource, to find a place where People can get outside. Nature has become, I think, even more important part of our lives as the world gets a little bit more complicated. And the Prescott Preserves provides a large area with lots of walking paths, a place for shade, exercise, and really regardless of people's physical abilities, age, or fitness level, we have people out there in wheelchairs. There are some paved trails. It's really got a tremendous opportunity for wellness. What we're proposing to do is to plant hundreds of shade trees. Of course, as the temperatures get higher, the importance of shade is becoming increasingly valuable. And we really want to enhance the area with shade trees. We'll be planting beautiful flowering plants that will attract pollinators and make it more enjoyable for visitors and even people driving by. We'll be demonstrating sustainability, the use of native plants and water efficient landscaping, and have some educational panels that would help people to know how they can use some of those plants in their neighborhood. We did meet with the Sustainability Commission and received a letter of support from them. This fits in very closely with the sustainability strategy, including the goals for an urban forest and a place that also provides enhanced habitat. But really focusing, and I will emphasize the focus of Prescott Preserve is really for the community, and it's a resource, a place for people to get out and enjoy the outdoors. We've also did visit with the Parks and Recreation Commission in September, and our proposal was ranked number 4 by the Parks and Rec members. At that, giving them an understanding of what we're trying to do. We've had some input and knowledge from the Living Desert as well in helping us to design our proposal. This fits in very well with the exciting Blue Zone effort that I've been reading about the city is undertaking as a place for people to exercise, reduce stress. We really are also looking at something that doesn't depend on city resources. We have a lot of volunteers on an ongoing basis that will be, and staff that will be working with us. So we really want to emphasize Palm Springs vibrant neighborhoods and the opportunity to enhance and encourage residents to enjoy exercise, health and wellness. Thank you.
Thank you for your comments.
Well done.
Lisa Hope.
Good evening, thank you. My name is Lisa Hoff. I'm a board member of the organization called 1PS in Palm Springs. And we submitted an application to Measure J to develop a feasibility study for the creation of a food co-op. All of the information, and by the way, we're very grateful for the fact that you thought that our application was sufficiently interesting that you wanted more information from us, and we will be providing that to you. But what won't be in that application, and what I want to take the time to talk to you tonight about, is why we're doing this. Earlier this year, members from the northwestern part of Palm Springs came to us and asked us if we could represent them in their search for the establishment of a supermarket in their community. They felt that for years they've been trying to get a supermarket, nobody was listening. They felt like they were an underserved population, that people really didn't care about them. And so they finally came to us to see if there was anything that we could do to help them in this endeavor. What we did immediately was conduct a preliminary survey of districts 1 and 2 to see whether the people there actually wanted it, what they wanted, the kinds of services they wanted, kind of food, and so on and so forth. And they were very clear that they desperately needed a supermarket out there that served healthy, affordable food at hours that they could access, because most of these people were working not 1 job, but 2 jobs. There were students there who were working and going to school, and there were elderly people who felt that the current supermarkets were too far away. And so this survey, this study that we did, proved that there really was a need for it. And we met with a variety of city officials who said that they were already working on other plans for a much larger supermarket kind of environment that would have other things, include retail and bars and restaurants, but we were still focused on needing to just serve this primary need. They suggested that we might try a food co-op. And so that's what we've done. We did a deep dive into what it would take to create a food co-op, and found that it would actually take 3 different consultants with disparate expertise that was that they would be able to attack the 3 or 4 key areas that were necessary for the feasibility study. And so that's what the application is all about, and that's what the information will be for you. who the three consultants are, what their goals are, what their budgets are, what their requirements are, and how that will ultimately help Palm Springs. We have to have a feasibility study first because it's a very complicated process. And we would never dream about asking you or anybody else to go into something like this without the information that you need to make an informed decision. So thank you very much for allowing us to pursue this, and we really hope that you'll support our application.
Thank you. Jonathan Lorenzo Yorba.
Evening, Chair Simpkins, and Vice Chair Davis, Commissioners, city officials, and the people behind. Short and sweet. Mike Thompson, CEO of the center, wishes you all a happy holiday season. The center is going to be closed mid-December 24th, like maybe around noon. Most people will be back on January 2nd. I'll be back on the 13th. I've already given a tour to Commissioner Buer, to Commissioner Newby, and I invite all of you to come. I'll be glad to give you an individual tour. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That concludes our.
Thank you very much. Normally this is the spot where we do the chair's comments, and tonight we're honored to have with us a former chair and former mayor of Palm Springs and current council member of Palm Springs, Jeffrey Bernstein. Jeffrey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. And thank you for, commissioners for giving me this time to speak. And I wanted to address the community initiated projects, because I realized that probably Commissioner Burr is the only one who was here last time to have done. And I know, several commissioners left in past June, so, and just to give you a little bit of history and hopefully some insight as to the process, which is quite difficult. So, you know, the Measure J started, almost everything was sort of done by the commission. It wasn't really, it was almost all community and commission or guided projects, and then it really switched to one that really came through more through engineering, and other departments would go through engineering to present, and then about halfway through, a number of years later, they decided to allocate the $1 million to community initiated projects. And when they did it, the first few years, they actually categorized what those projects had to be. So I think this was actually before me, they were all hot spots, and so they're typically on street issues and things like that. So it made it a lot more streamlined for staff to be able to say that they were going to be doing the same type of projects for different same category project throughout the city. And then when we did it the last round, we sort of expanded it and allowed all kinds of projects to come on. And it really gave a lot of insight as to different things that the community wanted. Some of which, and there's a variation of that. And I'll go, the other thing, just to make sure I know everybody's aware that we cannot adopt our budget, which we have to do in July, until we have recommendations from the commission on the whole of Measure J budget. So that is by ordinance that you have to give us those recommendations. So by May or June, whenever there's a joint commission meeting with city council, you will have to come through the presentation on the entire Measure J budget on how we should spend it. So this is obviously, and I should not be involved in the decision of any of your recommendations until they come to council. So I wanted just to express some of these things without listening to all of your deliberation or weighing in. The first thing is to make sure everything is fully transparent as you do this. I know you put a lot of stuff online. It is very important for the community to know that everything that they have presented and that the decisions and discussions are presented there. And the second thing is to make sure that you're giving everybody the same opportunity when they do their submissions to the commission, because you don't want to treat anyone to feel like they're being treated unfairly. There are clearly certain things in the community initiated projects which are just not feasible at all. And we've had, I don't know, specifically what you talked about, we've had them, it could be something on tribal land, it could be something, that is not within the city's purview at all. And so those are the kind of things that Joelle and Chris and others can advise that this is just not possible, but there may be other processes. One of the things that came up last time, and I think it's already been discussed, and I know it's in the application, was the difference between the city funded and managed projects versus the grants that go out to different organizations. And last time we did two very important grants that we gave out. One was to Mizell for their kitchen, which is a city-owned building, and the other was for the school district for their wellness gardens and community gardens, which is not a city-owned facility, but serve the public. The benefit to those, and I know we've probably talked about this a bit, is that it takes much less staff time. And so they got done, they got quickly. Now they still have to be vetted, the staff still has to make sure we have a procedure now for giving out grants. That after show project is gonna happen. And it's probably has a real budget, et cetera, a number of other things. But we've seen those both get completed. The issue with the ones that are city funded and managed is, as you've seen from some of the applications, there's varying degrees in how much knowledge people have as to how much they exactly really will cost. And this happened the last round, it's very normal, some people suggested something they thought would be $50,000. They all came back and said, as far as closer to $600,000. Almost every project that you've seen with the contingency comes in over budget, even if they have an estimate already. And a lot of that has to do with just because of timing, costs go up, and once you go out to bid, it changes. So I wanted to just keep that in mind. Another thing I want to suggest is, because I see this now having been on Measure J and then being on council, the amount of projects that is going on in the city right now is probably unprecedented. I don't know if Joelle and Chris would agree, but between our bridges, between the library, between renovation of one fire station, and potentially a new fire station, we have to look at the convention center, the airport, obviously all the regular things that are going on. Is to keep in mind that projects that are complicated or complex could take years before they get done as you go through this process. Joelle cannot estimate every single project, I think you have 52, there's no way it will take them a year to go through and get, there's a whole process to get applications. So part of it is, this is what your job now is, really honing it down. Another issue I want to say is that you have this budget now. The truth is that projects take a long time. One thing to consider, and this is up to you, is you do not have to allocate it to all different projects right now. If you think you need more time, or you're not sure and you've got ones you definitely want to do, this money is allocated for Measure J community initiated projects. That is something to consider, and most likely they're not gonna get started with it, some of them won't get started within the next year. So if we've never had in the Measure J Commission this amount of money that is fully community initiated, so it's a different type of a situation that you're in now. And if you come up with 30 projects that the city funded and managed, they're most likely not gonna start for quite some time. I don't. This is not I'm not saying that city staff is not capable, I'm saying they are incredibly busy. So I just wanted to say some of this, to think about this, and do it judiciously. You'll find the time is, if you have certain projects that everybody agrees on and seem like they can go, you can support them. If you have it, and that will cover the $6 million, I think is what you have for contingency, that is up to you as well to make those recommendations. I just don't want you to feel like pressured into doing something that because you have this time crunch. And the reality is you have a limited number of meetings that you can do. Because at the same time, you also have to look at the regular Measure J budget, which Joelle recommends, on how you do that. Another thing that has happened in the past is we have had funds, community initiated projects that we recommended not come out with the community initiated allocation and be in the regular Measure J fund. That's a bit unusual because we have a 5-year CIP plan now that, but it is also an option. And so really, I mean, my point here is just, this is a hard job you guys are doing. And I have, and since Commissioner Carter has been through it before, it's new to a lot of people, and it was a hard job last time when people had done it before. That is really why I'm here. You know, I saw some of the applications, and they're tremendous. And there's a lot of interesting things here, and we are very fortunate that Measure J is going to continue. The sunset was removed, so this is something that will keep going for a while. And the last point I want to make is to think about the next time you go out for community initiated, you could potentially do something like we did, like was done prior to actually when I was on the commission, where you allocate for certain types of categories. You want things for parks, you want certain amount of projects for sustainability, you want some that have to do with streets and traffic. And that also can also help in sort of streamline the projects to actually get done. Those are mainly my comments. I don't know if anybody, I'm happy to answer any questions or clarify anything I said.
Any questions of commissioners?
Yes.
Vice Chair
He
Davis.
doesn't see him right next to
Vice
him.
Chair Davis.
Thank you. I really appreciate you coming in today and sharing your experience with us. One of the things you mentioned was just about the estimates that have come in on all of these projects, and I guess kind of your experience sharing from the previous round. To what extent do we as a commission need to really try to hone in on what a reasonable cost is? Or do we really just say we kind of have to trust what the applicants have given us, and that will also sort of, if we award something, it'll come out in the end?
So there's two parts. If it's a grant thing, like again, there's something like that, they had a full thing and we said, we are giving you this amount, you have to raise the rest. So that one was a bit clearer. If it is something that they have a real written estimate, it's helpful, but the truth is that it's city organized thing, we have to go through our process to do that. If it's over a certain amount, we have to go out to RFP. And so you will find it can change significantly. And this is one of the things that happened last time, is there were several projects that seemed well cost out. I think it was uplighting at the visitor center, there was the animal shelter, shade structure, and both of them ended up coming, you know, they're smaller projects, but really needed significant extra funding. So that's one of the reasons not to allocate your full 6 million, if and you have a contingency, but again, you can do that, but you will find next year that you will have to use a lot of your budget to cover certain overages once it actually goes through the process. It is the unfortunate reality with any kind of infrastructure project in engineering that the costs are very uncertain, especially in the last few, 4 or 5 years. So each one is a bit different. There are certain things that are very clear, and probably something probably won't change at all. If we have real direct experience doing that exact same thing, which I know some of them are like. So, but you know, I some of the applications that I saw, people have really done a lot of work on really budgeting and estimating, and so hopefully it's true.
Are there any other questions for Councilmember Bernstein? Linda.
The question came up at our last meeting. Should the grants be given more priority than the other community projects? And because we had rewritten the application to do exactly what you're saying, relieve the city of all of this work. Do you have an opinion on that? Do you have a say about that?
It really depends on the on how valuable a project is. So I would, if you had 2 projects that you felt were fairly equal, and one of them was a grant versus a city funded, in my view, the grant is gonna get done faster and easier within the city, and you get to see the benefit of that. But just because something is a grant doesn't mean it should be given priority over city funded. It's just, again, you know. Joel is very careful, but he is going to be overwhelmed in the next year with the number of projects that he and his team, you know, he's a large team doing it. And it's just because a lot of the city's doing a lot, you know, we really did a lot of master plans this year and they're all gonna kick off. So is that fair to say? I don't want to speak for you.
No, that is fair to say, and I think it's not just the engineering team, the public works team, other teams are also very busy as well.
Yeah, so.
Are there any other questions of Jeffrey Bernstein?
Thank you. So I know that the grant concept versus the city project is relatively new, but I'm curious if there was any guidance from the past commission in approaching either partially or fully funding a grant request. You kind of touched on that a little bit earlier, so I was just kind of curious if there were any ways to approach that. And also we've had some discussion too about nonprofit entities versus for-profit businesses seeking grants, and also I'd like any guidance on.
It's a little bit harder to do a grant to a for-profit organization. I'm not even sure we can. So they would all have to be for nonprofits. So in many of the cases, in the cases that we reviewed last time, they were not fully funded under J. There was always we were partially funding a project because they were going out to raise money. There was another question that came up, why, if they can raise money, why should we give them anything? And the truth is that a lot of our nonprofits exist because they provide services to the community that the city can't. I mean, the Night Owl Kitchen would not exist if the city gave all seniors food, you know, who needed food. But we don't, they do it, they raise it from the public, so for us to help them makes sense. The same things, you know, there's a school foundation that raises a lot of money in the school district budget, but we want to provide additional services for the youth. So I think they all have to be nonprofits if we're gonna give it to them. And in general, you would expect a nonprofit to have some kind of contribution to it. That answer the question?
Okay. Again, thank you for coming. You've essentially taken my chair comments for today. I am going to disclose that you and I have spoken earlier this week, and I thank you for the service that you've given to the city and the leadership that you led to this commission in the past. So thank you for coming.
Thank you. One last thing, we city used to have council liaisons to all our commissions, and I haven't spoken to everyone about this. We don't have that any longer. However, if you want me to come back again, I'm not an official liaison, but I can always come back to the commission if you want me to, or to express a particular topic, or again, if you vice chair, or anybody wants to ask me a question or give me some feedback, I'm happy to do it. Make myself available.
Again, thank you for coming up.
Well, thank you all for the work. This is a lot of work, I know. And thank you to the great public for the great applications. There are really some exciting things to do. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Joelle, you have a pretty quick, you have to leave soon. Do you have anything you really want to add to tonight, or?
No, I think tonight's about the process, and I think it's mostly
I wanted to-
mission driven, so yeah, I'm here to answer any questions if there are any. I was gonna excuse myself at 6:30.
I just wanted to give you a chance if you had something to add before.
I think the commission's on the right path.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is item 7, welcome comments from the Measure J chair. For a variety of reasons, we're running a little bit behind tonight, but my comments will be even shorter than usual, which I'm sure will make everyone here happy. First, I want to give special thanks to Commissioner Wolfer, Vice Chair Davis, and staff over what they've done over the last month while I happened to be out of the country. At our last meeting in November, we decided we wanted to allow additional supplementation to be submitted for reasons that related to the application form that had been sent out. That letter was sent to a large number of people. Initially, Commissioner Wolfer drafted it. It was then edited by Vice Chair Davis and then re-edited again by Commissioner Wolfer. They both spent a lot of time on it, and I thank you both for your hard work on doing it. It has resulted in us receiving a number of additional backup information for applications that have been submitted. So thank you both for your help. And I also wanted to wish everybody on the commission and everybody in the back of the room happy holidays, and again, thank you for coming. So with that, that's the extent of my comments. Let's go on to the new business section. And I think in part because of what former mayor, former Measure J chair and current council member Bernstein said, we're going to be modifying the calendar going forward. And I think that's the principal thing I want to cover tonight. So let's move on to new business. A of section 8, which is review of commission bylaws, including voting right of alternate commissioners. And on that topic, I'm going to also be very brief. One of our commissioners is going to need to be excused from several of the upcoming meetings. And that commissioner asked whether or not she should resign from the commission, and I assured her that she should not. But it means that she's not going to be able to vote when we began voting on awarding applications. And so that means that the alternates, Commissioner Newby, Mr. Kravitz, are going to have to participate. And the bylaws of this commission require that if there is one commissioner who is absent from the voting, then the 2 alternate commissioners alternate on voting on issues. And Commissioner Newby is the senior alternate, so you would vote number 1, and Commissioner Kravitz, you would vote number 2. There have been a number of recusals, and there will be more absences going forward. And so it may well be that you both get to vote ongoing issues coming up in the future, but I just wanted to make clear that that's what the rule is. Joelle, thank you for coming. So now that that's all I wanted to talk about. I just wanted to make sure that you knew from my experience as a trial lawyer. I know sometimes alternates wonder, why have I spent so darn much time and effort on this if I don't get to vote? I mean, why did I spend hours and hours and hours going over all these applications if I'm not going to be, my thoughts aren't going to be considered? And I wanted you to know that it's very, very likely that your thoughts are going to be considered and your vote will be counted. The next item is the update on the community initiated process. And again, I want to thank staff, Finance Director Mooney and the secretary to this commission, Vice Chair and myself met. And we've decided, since the updated financial information is not due until December 27th, and will be coming in after Christmas. And there are Christmas holidays that are in force, and members of the city staff should be and will be taking vacations. That asking them to compile all of that information and get it out to us on the commission, and then have us look at it over New Year's, and then make decisions about how to proceed, makes it very, very difficult for us to comply with the schedule that we've been talking about in the past. And so we've decided that we were going to try to modify the procedure a little bit, and I'd like to sort of outline it for the commission tonight with help from the vice chair who knows this much better than I do. First, we're not going to have the meeting on January 16th, which I think was the date that we were scheduled to meet, because that does not give the commission enough time to evaluate the new information that comes in after Christmas. And it also doesn't give staff time to pull it all together in a reasonable fashion that allows us to review it. So we are going to postpone that January meeting. And instead, we've been able to secure a meeting date of January 30th, which will be a special meeting because it's not on the 3rd Thursday of the month. So all of you are now invited to attend the meeting on January 30th at 5:30 in this room. At that time, and after having reviewed all of the applications, I really can't see this because it's behind me, but I hope I'm saying it right. What we're going to be doing is we're going to be putting, essentially looking at all the information that we now have in front of us and recognizing, as Mayor Bernstein pointed out, you can't have all of the information handy. At some point, we're all gonna have to give up and say, we're gonna have to decide these issues on what we now have in front of us. We may not get the detail that we want, but we're not building these buildings ourselves. We're not gonna be developing the projects ourselves. The city's gonna be involved in a number of these. All we can do is vote on what we have in front of us. So we wanna move this forward. We've been sort of mired a little bit in quicksand, and I want to try to propel us out of the quicksand and go forward. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna evaluate and put our evaluations into 3 categories. Accept or grant, which means that we are going to approve basically the application. Without deciding how much we're going to approve, just that we're going to approve it at some level. There are a number of projects that simply don't qualify for a variety of reasons. For example, as the mayor pointed out, they may be on tribal land. They may not be capital projects. But in any event, we are gonna have a number of those that we're gonna say, no, we're sorry, you simply can't access Measure J funding. And there's gonna be a number that are gonna be in the middle category that are sort of maybe next year. Maybe you ought to come back with a little bit different proposal. We're gonna have money perhaps next year to give you, but this year, we just don't think you qualify for an award. And then, once we make that decision, those decisions at the meeting in January, we will then decide whether or not, particularly with those applications that we decided to grant, to award money on, we're gonna decide as a commission, do we want to have any of those come in just to sort of play around with the numbers a little bit in the February meeting, because we're not sure how much to grant. And so we hope that we don't have to invite very many. We may not have to invite any, but we're going to at least have that option open at the meeting in February. And then I hope that at the March meeting, we will all get together and we will decide how much to allocate, how much to grant on all of the applications that have been submitted. And then we can go forward with that and submit whatever we come up with to the city council in time for the council to do its budget. So I've done that from memory. I may not have done it correctly. I'm gonna let Vice Chair correct me if I did anything wrong.
No, I think you pretty much covered it. I think that, one of the other things we want to do is also just make sure that in a timely manner, we communicate back, especially to the applicants who the commission is not moving forward with providing funds. So after the January meeting, we should be in a position with a group of them to be able to reply back to them with that information, as well as information on other avenues for funding if their project was something that actually should be funded through another department within the city. And we have a number of those.
I had 2 or 3 other comments that I quickly wanted to make. Now that we have that, and then I asked commissioners for comments. First is, I think that the former mayor made clear there's no prohibition about us giving or awarding funds and applications for religious, for example, organizations or nonprofits. There's no prohibition. We've checked with the city attorney. I know that there are some applications from religious organizations, and we are not precluded if they otherwise qualify from granting and approving those applications. Secondly, I wanted to say that the Parks and Recs Commission and the Sustainability Commission have heard from several of the applicants. And those of us on this commission are generally, not perhaps totally, that we're not as qualified as the people who serve on those commissions or who work for the city in those positions. And so I think that it is important for us to give a certain amount of weight to the recommendations that are made by the Parks and Recs Commission and by sustainability going forward. And then the last comment that I wanted to make is that remember that these must be capital expenditures, and that somebody who is asking for something that is not a capital expenditure simply does not qualify for Measure J funding. So with that, Commissioner Isaac.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Just, I have one question and one thought. And so there will be no January 16th meeting, is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay. Secondly, I think it's important as well in understanding in the process, if the Sustainability Commission or the Parks Commission have thoughts, that's fine. But we have to weigh these projects against a whole bunch of other projects that the Parks Commission does not, and that the Sustainability Commission or others don't. So they have kind of a narrow view of things. I appreciate prioritizing, and that's all good. But as our commission, we have to weigh projects within a multitude of needs that have come in that haven't gone through any commission. And so that's just an additional thing I would say to your comments, Mr. Chair, that we have a different view of things because we have a whole lot more to consider in terms of projects and the other commissions, while they certainly can weigh in, and we appreciate that. We have different circumstances we're dealing with in measuring the value against all the other projects.
I don't dispute that. My only point was that we might give more weight to something that is ranked number 1 than something that is ranked number 6, taking into consideration the point that you just made.
Yeah.
Do any other commissioners have comments? All right, if not, let's move on.
Can I just maybe add one thing for clarification? So because we won't be meeting again until January 30th. So Melissa, the requested information is due on December 27th, correct?
Yes.
And when can the commission expect to have all of those uploaded and ready for review?
Let me look at the calendar.
Since you're doing that over the holidays.
I can get it to them. The following, the 3rd.
The 3rd, okay. So then that gives all of us
Or before.
probably 2.5 weeks or so. So you'll get to us the deadline that you'll need them to be able to do all the compilation of how we've evaluated those proposals. But that should give us a good 2.5 weeks. And then we're really just reviewing them all again because the subset of applications that received the letter for more information, it's because there were a technical issue with their submission online. So those were all those applications that really only had those first 2 pages and weren't actual full applications. So we suspect that many of those maybe tried to submit additional information, didn't know how to submit the information we asked for. So we're just giving them an opportunity to actually submit a full application.
Are there any other comments from other commissioners? If not, let's move on to 8C, which is the Measure J budget update by Director of Finance, Chris.
Thank you, Chair. Appreciate that. Good evening, commissioners. Okay, we will go in with the first page that's on your budget update tab. We'll begin there. We're going to go with the grayer 4th row over column, 4th column over column. And we will start with the Measure J sales tax revenue that says I'll just wait till everybody gets there, so everybody makes sure they're right there. It's $4,051,184. So just a couple things generally about sales tax. We know that the sales tax that's earned in 1 month, the cash is not received till 2 months later. So this is reflective of just July, August, and September. And we know those months were some hot months and some slow months for when you hear the feedback from the business community. That being said, this time last year, I don't have this number in my head, but it's around 4.2 to 4.25 million at this time last year. So we're a little short. However, one other factor goes into this too. The tribe collects food and beverage sales tax from non-tribal members that have businesses on their land. And the tribe submits that sales tax to us every quarter. And by the time I put this together last week, we hadn't received their check for the first quarter yet. That check, the amount of that sales tax that goes to Measure J is about $150,000-$160,000. So this first quarter number is really about 4.2 million, which is very much in line with what we saw last year. So the good news is we were down. We knew we were going to be down after hearing from the business community and after knowing it was such a hot summer and traffic was, not as good, but we're not down as bad as we thought. So good news, still very, very early in the year, hoping to really bounce back in the spring when we get busy. I think we've all seen that the city's gotten really busy here lately, so that's good news. Moving on to the expense side. The airport reserve on aviation fuel, that's the $16,768. The airport is using some of their Measure J funds. They installed some water fountains, fountains in the airport. This is a partial expense. There's a little bit more coming there, so they are starting to use some of their funds. They had a big discussion last night at the airport commission meeting on the shade structure and whether that would move forward or not. So they're still considering. Some commission members want to drop that and bring it back to us for something else. Some commissioners are in favor, so you have to be determined. But that was the bigger expense of the last few projects that the commission approved. Moving down to the downtown maintenance and landscaping and security, it's the 72,000. That's again landscaping for our downtown area. It's also to provide security for the downtown area. And as a reminder, you see the budget in 25 of $400,000. The commission, last commission that approved the budget, voted to discontinue funding those services for the city. So when we do our next year budget here in about 3 months, that's going to be zero. And then we go down to capital projects, the 4.1 million. That's we'll go to the detailed page to look at that. The $68,000, that's some money from prior community initiated projects that we spent, and then also 4.2 million on projects from prior years that we've spent too. We did have $22,000 in marketing expenses, mostly to help advertise the Measure J on the ballot, and so that was successful, good use of funds. Let's turn and look at the project detail. We'll go to the next page. And what I want to point out here is a couple of things. You're seeing the project expenses for all the typical projects that we have seen expenses for in the past. But seeing some good news on a couple of big ones. So if you go down to project 1916, you can find that project number in the very first column of the page, the 5th project down. The PD 911 CAD RMS, big project, budgeted at almost $2.8 million. It's big for both police and fire here at the city. They are moving that project to an RFP, which has been issued. So making some progress on that project. Of course, only $36,000, and that's a lengthy project, but we're making some movement on spending some of the funds there. So good news there. Let's see if there's another one that had some good movement on it. The relocation of fire station number 1, project 2219. There has been some funds that have been spent. The good news here is was spent for some design work, for some studies of where to put the new fire station. That is really coming to ahead, and we should see some things on regarding the new fire station coming to the city council probably in early 25. So good news there, money well spent again. Also want to acknowledge on project 2224, the pickleball courts. You can see the commission had approved the additional $2 million, along with basically splitting the funds between Measure J and another fund we have for Parks and Rec. So you can see the added budget there of $2 million, which the commission approved last year. And with a total budget now, after some design money's been spent, of 2.6 million. And I don't know that I have a whole lot more to add on the projects. I can take some questions on those, although I'm not the expert or expert about.
No, you are the expert. I have a question. In past commission meetings, we've asked when projects are completed by Joel, and the project has come in at less than was initially budgeted. At a certain point in time, they close out the project and the money is then transferred back in to the Measure J budget. Have we done any of that recently?
Yeah, so let me see if I can make sure it's not on here. If you remember correctly, the yeah, so if you look at project 20-03 about midway down the page, that's the Palm Canyon Indian Roundabout. So you probably don't remember, I don't have it on here, but there was a little bit of design work that had been spent. The project was budgeted for well over $1 million. And the council had decided to discontinue that project. And so we basically dropped that budget back down to the bottom line for future use.
Couple quick questions. Does the airport need to come back to us if they decide not to do, they do?
Yes, and they're aware of that. Yeah, they do have some other things they want to consider too. So they're gonna get their commission's approval together and then they'll come back and see. And I think they're considering some other projects or some use of the other funds that they have too, so.
Okay, and then the pickleball courts, I know that's not gone out to bid yet, but the estimate came back more like 5 to 6 million, I
Right,
think.
correct.
Is council wanting to come back to Measure J for additional funding on that? Will that is that already allocated in the current budget?
It is. I think between Measure J and the Quimby Fund, that's for Parks and Rec, we have that project fully funded at its latest estimate.
Okay, it's just not reflected in this.
Right, yeah, we're just showing our portion.
Okay. So it won't be more than that, even though the cost of the project is.
We hope not.
No, Chris.
Nobody wants to go to council and ask for more money.
Thank you.
Do any other commissioners have questions of Director Mooney? If not, thank you, Chris.
Yeah.
If I can find the budget or see where we are on it, but I think it's time for public comment on non-agenda items. There's nobody. If not, staff and Measure J Oversight Commission member items or requests, anything by staff, anything by any of the commissioners?
Are the cookies on the agenda? What is it?
The cookies are on the agenda and you're all invited to participate in them, as is the people in the back of the room. It's holiday time. Come on and get some cookies. There's cookies and candy for everyone.
Mr. Chair.
With that, I accept a motion to adjourn.
Just one thing, as a new member, I just wanna thank you for the work that the 3 of you did, or the 2 of you did, to clarify the process. I was pretty confused coming in here tonight. I feel much relieved that we're in good hands, and that the way you laid this out tonight is really helpful.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else have comments? If not, I accept a motion to adjourn. And we made it early. Thank you.
Did you?